Hello and welcome. This is the When Costs Hard After Show. I'm James Lott Jr., of course. And since I get a chance to interview anybody during the season, which is fine because now I'm interviewing them post-season and we can talk about the whole thing. They can spill secrets and all kinds of, you saw it already, folks. I said, okay, this person, you guys praised her performance in the episode with Elizabeth. You praised her performance when she had to take Angela to, or should be her character, had to take Angela to the blind school. I said, let's get her on here first. And I get to interview her for the first time by herself. It's going to be fun. Natasha Burnett.
Yay!
Hey,
Hello.
girl.
Hello.
Yes, Miss Minnie Canfield, folks, you guys who know her on the show. First of all, how are you?
I am doing very, very well. Thank you. Yes, things are good.
So now, we were talking before the show stuff. Are you working on anything right now you can talk about? Are you taking some time off? Like, what's going on for you right now?
I am at the moment. I'm just taking some time off. Not long did I get back from the UK. I was there for 3 months, which is very nice. I don't often get to spend that much time there, so I had some really nice family time and got to spend my birthday there. My nephew he's 8. He loves organizing,
Oh,
and I said, okay, you come up with my birthday party. So he's like, okay, we're going to have a dance party, and
oh,
then I'm going to teach you all how to do paper planes, and then we're going to have a paper plane race.
oh,
It was so,
okay.
it was like,
That is so cute. Oh my God,
it was so cute.
it is. I don't think you, nephew. That's I want to do that. That sounds fun to me too. I want to do the birthday. Come on, you're too old. Do that. But so when you're in the UK, I mean, that's your home. That's your home. So I mean, is it hard to leave when you go?
It is. It's always hard to leave, and especially because this time was 3 months. The time I spend just getting into, I think, my own routine, and I loved sort of being so close to London. And I mean, there are places near us like Wimbledon. We're really close to Wimbledon, so I love that. And just being able to go around and just enjoy the time. I was going to all sorts of restaurants, and it was just really nice to do things that I am not able to usually do here.
Yeah, that's I understand that. And you get to go for a while. Get a chance to relax and like
Yes.
take it all in. I love it. And then, of course, now I mean, as you find out, while everything season 12 was just finished. Congratulations.
Thank
As season 13
you.
begins.
Season 13.
No, wait, how many seasons have you been on now?
Oh gosh, would this be season 6 for us? I think this
That's
would
what
be
I say.
season 6.
So 6 seasons. So that's what I thought. That's six.
Yeah, sixth
Wow,
season for us.
that goes by
That went really
fast.
fast. It exactly right. It just went so fast. I cannot believe 6 years has gone by. This is
Yeah.
insane.
Because I've known you 6 years because I remember interviewing you guys in the very beginning. You and Viv.
Yes. I
So I was
remember
like,
the first interview when everybody was just like, oh, the Campbells are coming on the show now. I
yes.
remember that.
Remember that? That was 6 years. That was 6 years ago. Like, it was
Yes.
crazy. And the
That's
world's changed a lot in 6 years.
yes.
That's on television. But one thing that hasn't changed is that When Calls to Heart is doing bigger and better than ever. It's just like hit show that just continues to grow and stuff. And there's one thing about this. There's one thing you did
One thing.
that you've never done on the show before. And I said, I'm going to start the conversation off with this because it was hilarious. We heard your normal voice,
We did.
but
We
as
did.
a you're so you have them you're on the show you're American, but you're pretending to be British, but yet you are
Yeah.
British in real life.
Yes, yes.
So when you
It's
saw that in the script, what did you think?
I was actually really excited about it. Although I had already had my suspicions anyway that they were going to try and figure out how to put it in because Lindsay Sturman, she loved my British accent, and she was just like, it would be so nice if we could put it in there somewhere. They found a really great way to
Yes,
incorporate it into a
yes.
really nice, complete story, so it could also be a bit fun, you know. Because you don't always want it to have a serious undertones. It's just like gonna bring something like that and you gotta make it kind of fun and light.
Yeah, but what they said, because the story was you. So you're pretend. So how did, because you played it convincingly. So how did you prepare that? Because it wasn't just that you were speaking, in a British accent. Like you had to pretend like you're an American speaking in a British accent.
Yeah, it was just trying to work out how would Minnie say these things in
Yeah.
her version of American? And now we're still talking about the time frame of the 1920s. So how would this all play out? So you were just kind of, but then Viv actually made the comment that maybe I don't need to think so hard about it because even if it doesn't sound accurate, that's fine because I'm not supposed to be British. But then again, how can a British person not make their British sound accurate?
I was gonna say that. They were talking about you at home. Like
So yeah, it was but it was of course when Viv was doing his British as well in the scene in the cafe. You know, it's how we do all the time. When we were doing Lost Locket, it was something he can't help himself.
yeah,
Just just rubs off on him.
so he busts out the British accent all the time on you offset, just kind of off camera.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hilarious. Oh my god. But no, it was good. No, you did a good job. I just thought when it happened, I was like, wait a minute. We know off camera you are. I was like, oh, they use. I thought it was very exciting. I thought it was very exciting, and the way they had, like you said, you did a great job expressing it that way. But I also want to say, so Minnie's from the Midwest, right? They're from like St.
Right.
Louis or from Missouri or something.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that's a whole
yes.
different accent there too. A whole
Yeah.
different thing. Okay, so Minnie speaking Midwest accent, but living in out in the rural area out there, pretending to be British. Got it.
Yeah, there we go. Perfectly straightforward story there.
Woo! That was fun. I thought it was a lot of fun. And so yeah, good for you. Got to do that. Yeah, Lindsay's funny. I've interviewed her and she's great. So I can see her trying to get you. You know, because we can't make Minnie British all of a sudden. Like all of a sudden she's British. No, we can't do that.
Yeah, no, right? So yeah, because there was a lot of conversation. There was a lot of conversation. How can we make this fun but realistic and in some way incorporate it into a larger storyline that then just makes sense for
Yeah.
everyone?
Yes. Well, Minnie, the storyline that you because we were talking off camera too, and I talked to Brian about this the other day. The city's growing, the town is growing. Now we have radio and dancing and all this stuff in there.
Yeah.
But also it's a large cast, and so we know they have to kind of rotate story and scenes. But there are a couple of standouts for you that people kept bringing up. And some of us who've gone through it, I told them on the show, I had took a daughter to college, to St. John's University, New York, and her mother and I did it, and I was the blubbering idiot.
Right, you were the one.
I was like, she was like, I mean, I know we both were like sad, we both were feeling, but I'm like, oh my god, they're like, okay, hey dad, it's like calm down. I like it so much, but you got to portray that, so it was like Minnie, like wait a minute, because Minnie is so she's a mom,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
another side of her where
Yeah.
you
Oh
got to get
yeah.
a little irritated with your daughter when she didn't have her scarf and stuff.
Yeah, just anything. Anything to stop her from leaving, basically.
I know that was a lot of fun. But is that crazy? It's like that Angela, the character of Angela, is of that age. And so when you saw in the script they were going to do this, so they're leading towards going to a blind school and stuff. How did you feel about that?
I was really happy that we finally got to tell that story. I think it was really important also just for the progression of the Campfields as a whole, because it's obviously fine for them as a family to be in town and do what they do in town. But I think it was actually very important Elias was going to the school anyway. But it was important that I think we could show a good progression for Angela moving forward and of course tell the story with all the layers and the difficulties that go with that and all the things that were came to the surface again for Minnie in terms of how she felt as she did back in season 8. So I think being able to explore that in a slightly different way where she's a bit older, Minnie is having to deal with it in a slightly different way to how she did before. So even though we're tracking back to something similar to what we've already had, it's actually nice to revisit it in a different way.
And also, I just want to say this because I always put this on my shows. It was just so wonderful. You both were the conduit for this story because it's
Yes.
not told that often on television. Not
No,
really, not really
no,
told.
it's not.
And you're two brown women.
Yes, we are.
And I just love that because, on one sense, it didn't matter because it's a universal story.
Yes.
I just love seeing those two brown women portraying this to the world at that time period. So I just want to say I just really enjoyed that. this
Yeah.
mother-daughter, because we have it. You guys have shown over the years this mother-daughter relationship.
Yes, yeah, and I like that. Being able to play it in that way meant that we could explore our relationship slightly differently. She's getting older. Are we going to be sort of, am I going to be her parent slash friend as opposed to just her mother? So that was something that we also had to explore. And I think that's how it flip-flopped. At the beginning of the scene where I'm freaking out without her scarf. And then at the end, when she's now wondering whether she can even go at all, and Minnie now has to um, boost her confidence for doing that. So I just loved playing with that. I loved playing with that throughout the episode. So I was to see that in the script and go, ah, we've got something here that's not just linear. You know, she wants to go. I don't want her to go. End of story. No, now it's sort of no. I don't want her to go. Wait, but now she doesn't want to go, and that was just really nice to play.
Because also you said something in the show episode about, you did raise her to be,
Yes,
both the kids to be, strong, intelligent, and independent
yes,
people. But yet the mom comes in, and mom's
yeah.
like, "That's my baby."
Yeah, I think it's so easy to forget. I mean, you spend so much time ensuring that they're raised a certain way, that they have the wits about them, that they're streetwise and all of this and worldly. Yet somehow, when it comes down to it, at the crux of it all, they're just your baby all the time.
They are. I mean, I have grandchildren. I'm like, I still talk. They're still my daughters. They still are. They're my
Yeah,
baby. And it's like,
yeah,
you
right.
can't help it. And I'm glad that that's a universal message. Like anybody who's a
Yes,
parent has gone through some form of that, right? Because like you said, we've seen like in season 8, they're these mile markers with Angela of you having to let go a bit. Sorry,
yes,
of Minnie having to let go. Of
yeah,
to
yeah,
let go a bit. I mean, it's not you, but have Minnie let go a bit and
yeah.
let her be whatever that's going to be, right?
Right, right. Yeah. It was again, I think it was a very good transition. I mean, it was 5 seasons in, and again, reminding yourself that we were actually that far into the season, into the whole series.
Yeah.
And then going, okay, well, actually, really around that point, you should probably be trying to find a slightly different dynamic, a slightly different direction for the family, because I think we've established that they're a unified family and they work within the community and they love to bring hope and support to other members of the community. And then now it's sort of, okay, where are we going to go from there?
Yes. And I mean, those kids are so tall. They're like we watched them literally grow up.
Ah, they
Goodness.
are so tall. It is not, I don't know where we're going to get to this year. I feel like it's not even going to be a joke. I feel like apple boxes may be required.
Yeah, I think so. Like
They-
you're very petite in the middle of all of them. They're just like all these giants around you. I love how kids grow so fast. I love that. What has it been like? So I don't know if I don't know I watched some of the other interviews that you've done. I don't think anybody's ever asked you this before. I'm not sure, but I'm just curious. As an actor, what has it been like for you to watch Viv watch his kids act?
Oh, we've had some interesting conversations. I mean, great conversations that we've had, sort of moments where the realization is hit, as they develop as actors throughout the years. And because obviously, as they're now older on the show, we're not around them as much. So sometimes Viv will specifically have to stick around, or if our scenes are finished and he's obviously got to take them home as well. So then he will stick around and see what's kind of happening. So I think that's been some growth for him to just really try and see from, especially Elias when he first started. And I know even for Vienna, it was her first acting role on screen as well. So I think it really was like a heart tug for him to now watch them develop. But he's so proud of them. He's so proud of them and the auditions they're doing now for things and other shows and bigger shows. And he always says, I feel like they're going to surpass me. They've learned so many things so quickly, which I feel so many of the youth of today do comparatively. So he's so proud of them and their achievements and accomplishments. And I know Vienna now, she's graduated, and I've spoken to her about where she wants to go with it. And gosh, she's got her head so well screwed on. She really wants to fly, and I think she will.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they're not there. They could be in better hands. I mean, this show, the
Yeah.
production, everybody behind the scenes, and all you actors. I mean, like I know all of you guys, and it's they were in good hands. They were in good hands
Yes. Yeah.
compared to some sets. You've been on other sets,
Oh
been third
yes.
places.
Yeah. This is the kind of set where, Viv has no problem if he goes back to the trailer. I mean, obviously in the beginning he wanted to make sure he was there if they needed him, but then fairly quickly he realized he doesn't need to oversee anything because everybody on set is so welcoming and calming, and it just is fun for them as well. So they're not even that bothered. So he'll go back to his trailer and relax if he's got a few scenes off. And yeah, they'll meet up again at the end of the day when it's time to go home.
Yeah. What's great too is now you and Viv, of course, Joseph and Minnie. One of the things I did enjoy so far is how he kind of they had his character stand down, kind of stand back while you were handling Angela.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. And so I was, and I thought it was kind of good that he's like, I'm gonna let Minnie handle this, so to speak. Like he was there, like you guys are always there for each other, like for little things.
Hmm.
But it was very much like he would say a few words, but then he was just kind of like, I don't know, did you notice? Like I noticed that in the scene, it was kind of like Minnie's in
Yeah.
charge of this, kind of.
Yes, I think he realized that, at this stage, he's having a hard time. I think the best way to deal with this is to not say too much, not give too many opinions. Of course, once he had sent off for the brochure, that obviously was a little issue for me.
Yes,
So
yes,
he thought, okay, let's not make this any worse. We'll leave her with the brochure. She can look at it in her own time,
yes.
and then we'll see. Then we'll see how much more I can say.
That was so funny because Minnie looked at me when you played Minnie. You looked at it, you're like, yeah, you get that look I've seen a million times on myself. No, I've seen that look where it's like, you did what? So I
It's
laughed.
so funny because I didn't even know I did not even know that that's how it looks until I saw it. I was like, oh, okay.
You gave it, yeah, Natasha, you gave that look. You know that look. You gave it. Okay. Well, that just means how comfortable you and Viv are, obviously, as an acting duo. So I guess that's probably what it
Yeah,
is. Right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But you gave that look, and it was like, oh, but then you like, okay, I'll read this. And he wisely, whatever. But I just thought it was very cool that they had you because this leads to everybody's talking about two different scenes, of course. And
Okay.
know which ones they are. So we'll start with the first one, with the quilt, with the whole surprise. And we know already, Brian already told us, one of my people I know, the Millers, they made them in real life, made the quilt, this whole thing. But it was so interesting because we never see Minnie lose it.
No.
We don't. Oh, yeah, like we've seen her upset a couple times. We've seen her a little bothered, like that.
Yeah,
But
a
she's
little
always,
bothered, yeah.
yeah, you've been a little bothered over the years, a little bothered at things. I mean, but you never. But you had this time. I mean, because there's like two or three beats. Now I'm getting to the weeds of things, folks. There was like two or three beats,
Yeah.
and then it really like hit you, and the women surrounded you, and you started to bawl. I started sobbing, so you did that. Because I knew you were gonna cry. I thought you were like, because you were like, well, not you, as Minnie was like, is this
Yes.
beat?
You would expect her to hold it together.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So how do you get ready for that? How do you get ready for that scene? I mean, because I'm like, give the whole set kind of the women were there and Hickam and the women and how do you prepare for that for scenes like that? How do you prepare for that as an actor?
Do you know, I obviously everyone has a different way of how they prepare
Yeah.
emotionally for things like that, but I've always been one of those people. I do better if I just wait to feel it in the moment. Obviously, when I read it beforehand, I know the gravitas of a scene like that. As long as I have some understanding of what I think this scene is and what it would mean to her, I try not to overdo it.
Okay.
But that's how that works for me. So when I was able to get on set, I was like, I know where I need to go, but I also don't put pressure on myself as an actor.
Okay.
If I didn't get to the place where I was going to break down, I was just thinking, okay, well then, maybe that's not the way Minnie should play this.
Oh.
I don't put pressure to force myself to get to that place. So it was very real when it happened, which is why it did look like a release because I just allowed myself to just go all the way. Because for most of what I was saying, I realized I was actually holding it back and I wanted to go there. So I was then, when it got towards the end,
Yeah.
I just realized, okay, I just want to let it go that way.
Well, not good that you're saying it. You're right. That's exactly how it was. Like I said, it was a couple of beats, and then it was like it seemed like it really flooded you, and
Yeah.
it just flood. I'm like, flood, and water and the stuff came out, and it was like, oh my goodness, I lied. No, I like that. It's just like, wow, that's so unexpected, and she's really so. I mean, so you're saying basically you're present when you're on set on stage, and it's your turn.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, if I don't bawl, maybe
Yeah.
is the responsibility when you'll still show the emotion. Maybe she
Yeah.
doesn't. Maybe she doesn't start crying. Maybe she's okay, or maybe she cries later, or maybe like
Yeah.
that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, a good example is actually in episode 9 when I was talking to Angela, when we were having our heart to heart at the end of the episode.
Oh yeah,
When I first read it, and I just read it out loud, and it did make me teary because I was thinking as Minnie what she's saying. However, when I did the actual scene, I didn't want to cry. I wanted to encourage her.
yeah.
So it just was completely different. That's why I don't prepare because I always feel in the moment, in the scene. Sometimes they just change up the flow of the scene for whatever reason. It could just be circumstantial. It could be props. It could be anything. And so I try to make it just. I just try to feel it in the moment.
That makes sense. Yeah, because you didn't cry. Because all of a sudden Minnie got strong. Like you said, it
Mhm.
flipped. Like, oh, now she's doubting herself. I don't want her to doubt herself. Like any parents want their kid doubting themselves. You're like, no.
Mm.
So you had
Yeah.
to be the strong one. Um,
Yeah.
and for her, that was kind of like that. Well, the other scene, of course, which we were just like, oh, it's going to be Minnie talking to Elizabeth. Like you said, the main number one on the call sheets. This is a major cliffhanger-esque thing about to happen for the show. And they had you bringing the food, as Minnie always does. I have the food,
As
kind
she
of like,
does.
yeah, she always does with the food. Um, but then he had you guys relate mother to mother of special needs child. How was that? So how was that scene? When you saw that, how was that scene for you?
That was, I mean, it was the one of the most beautiful scenes I've been able to play. And I always say this because I very rarely get to spend time with Erin as Minnie and Elizabeth. But they always do tend to have some really close heart to hearts, right? Like in season 8. And this heart to heart was probably the most important one that they've had thus far. I think it was very cathartic for Minnie to share. Something that I'm more than certain she's never said to anyone before. Um, and then to know that that helps bring some strength to Elizabeth. I mean, it's in such an important part of the episode. And then when she goes to leave now with Jack, and just knowing that Minnie was the one to just try and just give her that last bit of oomph of how to get where she needs to go. I just loved that we were able to play into that because it was Elizabeth last time, just trying to get Minnie's head around. Look, I know you're in a new town, but you can bring her to the school, and we are going to look after her. And so now the roles have reversed, and she's trying to get Elizabeth's head around a situation that she's in. So I was so glad when I read it, and it was obviously a very poignant scene.
Yeah, it felt like they had the character Elizabeth reaching out to you, like literally reaching out to Minnie, going, "Okay, I don't know how to do this." Like I don't know if I don't know if I as you said, I don't know if I don't know if I can do this. And
Yeah,
so now Minnie has to go, okay, I know how she feels, obviously, because we obviously was off camera. We don't, when we first started, probably when everything started. But we assuming you know how she feels. And now again, time for you to give her strength.
yes,
And
yeah,
so that was such a powerful. I just love that turn. It was like she was reaching her soul. She was out to you, going, "Come on, I don't like it. What's going on?" And this is kind of
yeah,
this chronic thing that little Jack's going to have. And you're like, "I know. I have Angela. It's a chronic thing that she's had."
yeah.
You had that in common. It was very interesting.
Yes, yeah, that was. And even sort of again, because I like to do things in the moment, it was knowing or feeling when the right time was to reach out to her physically.
Oh yes, yes,
Because again, that was something else that, I mean, she was shedding a lot in that moment to Minnie. And I think Minnie needed to know the right time to like hold her to be like, okay, I want to give you some strength.
Yeah.
Um, it was it was such a lovely scene to
The
do.
fans loved it. No, I'm just telling you, the fans were praising that scene.
I
Um,
did get a lot of tweets
okay.
about it, and I'm so grateful, so grateful. So thank you so much, Hearties, because you guys said sent me some beautiful messages about that.
And and that's as an actor, you want to be able to affect change on some level on something that you're working
Yeah,
on, a project you're proud of. Obviously, you're proud of When It Calls to Heart, and
yeah,
you want to be able to, like you said, have a scene like that, or have a scene like a couple episodes ago, have a scene like a year, like you want those in there, and you want the fans to be like, yeah, moved.
yeah.
That's why you do it for a living. You're like, that's why you're an actor. You're like, you want to, entertain, but you also want to like affect some kind of change when somebody's watching.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not always possible in an ensemble cast every episode that you personally are in, because there are other stories that need to be told, other people that need to send a message again to the Hearties that's different to yours. It just so happened that in episode 12, it was Minnie having to let go of her daughter and sending some strength to Elizabeth as well. So it was just double for her in that episode. So, it's everybody's turn at some point, and it just happened to be mine in 12, which was really, really great.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Um, I now at 6 seasons in,
Hmm.
are you used to the clothes, all the stuff? Are you used to all the clothes and all the because I imagine you're in costume, so to speak. I mean, this is not the modern times. Like you're not
Right.
the hair, all the stuff. Are you used to that by now?
I mean, you know what I am. I mean,
Oh,
every year they do kind of bring in something else because Minnie's fashion has ever so slightly evolved.
yeah,
And she's become a little more adventurous with some of her blouses and some of her combinations. But she's still Minnie. She's still Minnie. And actually, Barbara does an amazing job of every year just knowing when we do the wardrobe fitting what else can we add to Minnie's wardrobe that might be just a little bit different and bring her a little more up to date.
yeah, because she is the preacher's wife, I mean, so to speak. The preacher's wife. But she can't go
Yeah,
too outrageous,
no,
obviously.
exactly.
No, head on. Yeah, so I'm sure. But no, I've noticed a little changes here and there. I just have to ask about the hair stuff. So how do you work with, are you wearing wigs or are you doing, I mean, what's going on with the hair?
Yes. So in season 8, I actually wore my hair.
It's like, I think everything I do,
And
yes.
yes, so for I think half, if maybe three-quarters of the season, I wore my hair, and then I realized this is so much work that I thought, you know what, I think we should stick with a wig. And actually, I feel like it was the best decision to make anyway, because especially when we're doing different events and things like that, it's so much easier for them to just be able to adjust the wig beforehand
Right.
and recurl it or whatever. And especially for the 20s, like the finger waves and things like
Yes.
that, it takes time. So, it's nice that it can be done beforehand because I mean, we do long days anyway. And if I'm being fair, I mean, I don't want them to have to come in for an extra hour just because they have to prepare my hair. But overall, I love the wig that I've got now. It's perfect,
Yeah.
perfect for the era.
Yes. A couple little things. I don't think I've ever asked you these things either before. I don't get a chance to ask you.
Yeah.
Um, do you have your own trailer or do you share a trailer?
I have my trailer.
And so in your trailer, how do you make it comfortable for you? Because I know, people understand when you do a TV show, sometimes there's a lot of hurry up and waits. There's a lot of, you film all of a sudden, you wait for the couple
Yeah.
out, like all that kind of stuff. So how's your trailer comfortable for you?
Oh gosh, I usually have like some sort of room mist that I like to spray in there. Sometimes I'll bring a candle if I feel. I specifically actually have a candle on my shelf that I use for when I go to set because I just like the smell of it, but I never use it at home. Um, Yeah, although I don't really bring anything crazy to set. I keep it's pretty simple. I'm happy for because I end up spending a lot of time on set itself as opposed to in my trailer. So especially in the summer months and things like that, maybe in the winter months you tend to want to get
Okay.
back to your trailer and stay warm. But in the summer months especially, I tend to just stay up on set in the green room and just chat to everyone.
Everybody. I was curious. I like because I just know that when you work on a TV show, it can be
Yeah.
it takes a long time to be on set. You want to stay comfortable, but you like your trailer. Like your trailer's good. You go in there, you can relax if you need to.
Oh
Like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm not a sleeper,
Oh,
although
you're
I think
not.
once I was really tired and I did have a long time, so I did lie down. But I'm generally not a sleeper on set for some reason.
All right. Are you a craft service person? Do you like running craft services? Do you like? Are you a snacker? Are you not? Are you pretty not much not?
I think I end up being a snacker because I've got nothing else to do sometimes. Boredom eating.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I've done that a few
I try
times.
not to. I try not to, but it happens. It happens. And also because I can't have gluten, which is very sad for me. Um,
Yes.
sad for me, but maybe also good for me because then
Yes.
I don't eat as much.
Yes. Yes.
uh,
I was gonna ask you, what is your kind of go-to snack thing then, if you can't have certain?
oh, my go-to is usually crisps.
Okay. Okay.
Crisps. Got to be a packet of crisps.
You're
Is
good.
it?
You're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
simple.
That's very good. Very cool. Very cool. Do you drink coffee? Tea? Are you a tea drinker because you're from England?
I'm definitely a tea drinker. I love a good tea, a lemon and ginger, a good lemon and ginger.
Good.
When I'm on set, if I'm at home, I'll do an Earl Grey if I'm at home because I
Of course.
can.
Earl
I mean,
Grey, of
of course, they
course.
have Earl Grey on set, but it's a little different. I go
It-
herbal when I'm on set, lemon and ginger.
oh my God, I love it. That's just so funny. Well, Natasha, thanks so much for being on the show. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, it's so good to see you because it's been a while. I
A
haven't
couple
talked
of
to
years
you in
because
a
last
while.
season I doing interviews last season. Well, there was one season we couldn't because of the strikes.
Right, of
So
course.
we weren't doing a lot. They weren't doing a lot. We just couldn't. I couldn't do. We were down here striking. We couldn't do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's been a couple of years. So now I'm gonna reacquaint myself with you guys again.
Yeah.
We see each other online, but I said we're gonna reacquaint ourselves on here. So you're my first of the postseason. Hey,
Yay.
the postseason. Um, so season 13. We'll see you again in season
Season
13.
13.
Very
Season
exciting.
13. Yes.
If folks want to follow you, where should they follow you?
They can follow me Instagram, Natasha.Burnett, and X, I should say, is Natasha at Natasha Burnett.
Yeah, follow her there. And also follow me, James Lott Jr. at JLJ Media, James Lott Jr. For any When Calls Heart news. I always post, repost, share everything on here. You want to know what's going on. They did announce it's going to be an HFR coming up, so they did announce that on my show. They haven't said no dates or anything yet. There's no dates. They have announced it on my show, so there will be another one. So make sure you follow all of their stuff too. When Calls to Hearts pages and everything, and Hallmark Channel's pages, so you can be up to date on what's going on. And of course, on Facebook, I want to say hi to all the admins over there. I love them. There's our giant Facebook group of Hardies, and it's a great group, and you can check out over there too. Thanks for joining us, and again, I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.